Hello and welcome everyone. I'm HatTopGaming and welcome back for another Xbox ROG X review. Today's topic is on the open world game in Atomfall, a very British, very secretive, and a very janky AA game. Made by Rebellion, the studio behind the very good Sniper Elite games, they decided to take on a Fallout inspired RPG, all about a failed experiment gone wrong that the British government is trying to cover up. You find yourself wrapped up in whatever is going on and you only have one objective: escape the quarantine zone. As always, we'll be going over the same three things in story, gameplay, and performance on the Xbox ROG Ally X before giving the game a rating out of 10. And make sure to stick around to the end of the video for a sneak peek on my next review. But with all that out of the way, let's begin. Starting off with the story of Atomfall, the game shows you some small clips of the British government working on some new experiment before things go south quickly and they quarantine a small part of the country off from the rest of the world. No way in, no way out. All this being set in a semi-futuristic Britain in 1957. You awake in a bunker with the scientist waking you up, wondering where you came from. Meanwhile, you yourself have no idea where you are or what's going on. He gives you an altered keycard and tells you to go, so you do, and from there, everything is open to you, assuming you know how to get in. You see, the thing that makes Atomfall stand out the most is also the thing that is going to either make or break the experience for the average player, which is why I think this nice little RPG won't resonate with most of you who pick it up. And that's due to the game having an entirely hands-off method of storytelling. There's no traditional quest storyline, NPCs don't wait around to give you tasks, and if you want to learn about the world and what's going on, you have to read the notes scattered around to learn much of anything. You see, the game has what they call the lead system. The game swats out traditional storytelling for a detective style method of finding out clues, painting around you in different directions. Rarely does an NPC tell you something that will actually count as a new lead, meaning you mostly gain them through finding notes or areas where something happened, giving you a lead to follow to figure out what happened and how it ties into what's going on. Here's the problem though, it makes the game feel incredibly aimless. Most leads amount to next to nothing. Maybe you find some trucks hauling cargo that drags you down a whole rabbit hole to find the sole survivor, only for them to end up being dead by the time you find them, or you get a new lead that has you start the process all over again. The sole goal of the game is to get out of the zone, and there's multiple characters claiming they can help you escape, including a mysterious voice who keeps calling you at random through red phone booths. Of course, it's up to you to figure out who you want to help, but no matter what you do or who you speak to, everyone is incredibly secretive and very vague about their motives and what they're trying to do, leading to further confusion, feeling like no matter who you help, you'll end up with a bad ending. Like I mentioned earlier, reading notes and papers found across the world is a big emphasis in this game. You will have hundreds of notes stored away, with a handful of them having key information on what you should do next depending on what you feel is right. Meaning, every time you find a note, you better read it carefully because overlooking something could cost you. But when you don't know what anything means and you're constantly coming across new information, it becomes impossible to keep up and remember everything. And while yes, you can look at your notebook, who's going to sort through all of them to try to find something that maybe was mentioned in one of them? I've never been a fan of games using this method of storytelling as I find it time consuming and just straight up not fun. Here it is a bit of a necessity though, given the mystery surrounding the whole quarantine zone, but for the average player, missing key info or forgetting something is going to be inevitable. So it really comes back around to the yellow paint argument. Do you need or want games to constantly guide you in the right direction, or are you comfortable enough to stumble through a game until you figure things out on your own? Having complete freedom to discover everything on your own time and then choosing to do as you want. But know this, you can stumble into an area of importance, but if your character doesn't have that lead already figured out, meaning you know what you're supposed to do in that area will essentially become useless until you know exactly what you're looking for. Moving on over to gameplay now, it mainly consists of three things: wandering around and discovering things, janky combat, and crafting. Starting with wandering around, your map does at least mark key points of interest whether you walk into them or via the leads that you find. It does so by either putting drawings on the map or leaving a black circle with a question mark to indicate a possible lead. You're going to want to thoroughly search everything though, everywhere you go, not only for the notes, but also for supplies, as there's no economy in this game. You can only trade for stuff, and what's considered valuable by traders depends on who you're trading with, but they won't have much to trade themselves anyway. But this isn't like Fallout or Skyrim where you can just spam sell enemy weapons as those carry little value. Not to mention, you only have 16 item slots and 4 weapon slots, and there's no way to increase storage space either. So what you have will mostly depend on what you find out in the open world. Combat unfortunately is very janky, the animations are stiff and take overly long, the enemy AI is pitiful, and melee combat should frankly be avoided as it's not only slow and sluggish, but you're just as likely to be killed by enemies as you are to kill them. There are non-human enemies that you will stumble into on occasion, but regardless of what you fight, they all have simple attack patterns, so you will mostly be relying on guns. There's 4 different types: rifles, shotguns, submachine guns, and pistols. You can also get a bow and arrow, but it takes ages to aim and fire it, and once you have enough ammo, you really don't feel the need for stealth anymore, which is also janky and very simple, but works at least to consider yourself in quote unquote tall grasses and to do takedowns on enemies. Ammo is hard to come by in the early stages of the game, so again, search absolutely everything and make sure to hit your headshots. They're not hard to hit, as most enemies will just simply stand and fire at you or do a slow stride step animation in some random direction. But early on, every bullet counts, and getting more from traders isn't always an option. One of the things you'll be able to trade for is craftable recipes. or you can find them out in the open world. So look out for those because without them, you won't be able to make use of any of the materials you find. I encourage all of you though not to trade for recipes though, as the one traders have can easily be found out in the open world multiple times. It's just a matter of patience. The materials you'll find in the open world are going to range from glue, string, scrap, chemicals, all the normal stuff, to craft tonics, makeshift grenades, healing items, and gun upgrades as well. Lastly, when it comes to leveling up, there's no traditional level 1, 2, 3, and so on. It's all done through a semi skill tree sort of way. But to gain new skills, you have to find training stimulants. The required number of them to unlock a new skill in one of four categories: melee combat, ranged combat, survival, and conditioning. Stimulants can be found wherever the government used to be, such as abandoned outposts, bunkers, labs, and so on, mostly contained in government crates that are scattered among the open world. You can find them elsewhere as well, but of course they're still going to be rare. The individual skill trees in each category are not locked into any of the other ones, so you can unlock things at your own pleasure, unless the upgrade first is just not there. The only downside is the fact that if you want to unlock new skills, you're going to have to find training manuals. These essentially just act as little booklets that you find, and then they unlock the ability to learn new skills in one of the four different categories. That's a lot harder to find, and you can't buy them. So if you want to unlock a certain skill, you have to go find the training manuals, which, again, it's not the easiest thing in the world, so that's definitely a setback there. Now, to touch on performance real quick, I will say that this is one of the best AA looking games I've ever seen before. As just running it on medium settings, they clearly put a lot of time and effort into the environment and it looks great. Running on solid mode, I would get about 35 to 42 frames per second with a decent amount of stuttering. So I opted to play in performance mode, in which case I got 42 to 52 frames per second. The game does not really hold a stable frame rate, honestly, and I don't know why. Drops aren't egregious by any means, and you don't notice it while playing, but if you were to just look at the FPS counter, you would see how it never sits still. Thankfully, I didn't run into any bugs or glitches of note, the biggest one being dead enemy bodies just ragdolling in a weird way or clipping through the environment. Otherwise, no problems. No crashing or save issues either. Load times are pretty good, and overall, from a technical standpoint, the game does a good job maintaining performance levels across the board. And the game doesn't put too much strain on the battery either, leading me to be able to play for a handful of hours without having to worry about needing to charge. So when it all comes down to it, AA games, they're always going to come with their own unique set of issues that separate them from other games. But they always have a good chance of bringing you experience that you may have never been able to enjoy without it. After 14.9 hours playing and 18 of the 54 achievements unlocked, how would I rate this game and would I recommend it to you guys? Well, in this case, it really comes down to two things. Are you okay with dealing with all the jankiness of the game first and foremost? I imagine for many of you, that right there might just be enough to say an immediate no. The second question is, are you okay with being lost and not knowing what to do or where to go, for as long as it takes for you to figure it out on your own terms? If you can handle both those things, then I think you'll come away pleasantly surprised the way that I did. I'm going to give Atomfall a rating of 6.5 out of 10. Once I started putting the pieces together and saw the bigger picture, I did become more intrigued by it all. The combat went out great, was engaging enough with the constant need to worry about ammo early on, and the limited inventory spots always added some pressure in what I was going to carry with me. But as I progressed further into the game, at a certain point I just felt unstoppable as I had more than enough ammo on me, and I was able to just one-tap most enemies, so they stopped being a threat. While I don't plan to come back to the game anytime soon, it's definitely something I can see myself picking up again in a few years, to try and get a different ending. RPGs like this aren't games I play often, but when I do, I usually find myself having fun and become interested in their worlds. This isn't Fallout, but it does a good job imitating things that make the game fun. Though I would have preferred the combat closer to Fallout 4 than they were here in Fallout 3. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed my review on Atomfall. Let me know if I steered you away or towards playing the game. Leave me any questions or concerns I may have missed down in the comment section down below. I'll make sure to get back to you. I'm HatTopGaming. Don't forget to follow me on social media to keep up to date with the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Peace.
Combination of their powers and effects, certain pairs can be evolved together, becoming a completely new ball with its own unique powers and effects and tactical applications. And this new ball can also be fused to another ball or possibly evolved again into a newer new ball with its own newer new powers and effects and applications and the ability to be fused or maybe even evolved again.